Hi, welcome to A Navigators. Today we're talking to Yael Cabilly, that an expert in the world of Amazon acquisitions that I having an amazing conversation before. I really want to share with you. So welcome, Yael.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Oleg. Nice to be here.
Yeah, as usual, I would like to start with some introduction. Please, can you share how you end up in the business of the Amazon brands? What was your story?
Of course. So I'm originally an attorney, a trademark attorney. In 2016, I started working with Amazon sellers, so on the legal side, trademarks, and then suspensions. And then I saw that there were no attorneys in the e-com space, or very few. There were back then there was one or two. So I decided to start a law firm focusing on e-commerce and intellectual property. Um, at the law firm, we're a team of 16 people. We represented almost 7,000 clients over the years. So that's the law firm. And in 2018, so 5 years ago, we many of the sellers we were in touch with and working with wanted to exit the business. And back then there were no investment banks in the e-com industry. There were several online brokers, most of them working with smaller businesses, and they were presenting these businesses on their website, and then buyers would come and kind of brokerage. Um, and then my partner Michal, who brings the investment banking background and knowledge, and I thought that we should kind of import the investment banking services to the e-com world and really help those sellers sell their business. So bigger businesses, the ones that are not 100K, but a million, 2 million, 10 million, 20 million. These businesses, really hold their hand through the exit journey. So from the moment they decide that they want to exit someday, help them decide when is the right time, what to do to improve the business until you sell the business, how to increase the valuation, and then really take them through the process of going to market, showing your business to all the buyers, and then they would bid against each other until we get to the highest possible price. So this is how we started Fortunate 5 years ago. We worked with over 150 brands over the years. So busy years, as you know, in the M&A space, in the last I guess 3-4 years. And yeah, this is where we are today. Team of almost 40 people, doing just that, e-com exits.
Yeah, nice. Nice to hear. I also joined the Amazon from absolutely different background back in 2016. So, yeah, almost from the beginning.
Yeah,
And
when you could just sell I don't know, any
yeah,
you
it
know
was a Wild West. Just
exactly,
bring the products.
any spatula that you would put on Amazon would sell for millions, right then.
Yeah. It was much easier than now.
Yeah.
So being an investment broker in e-commerce, it's nice title to hear as a like daily job. What do you think are the trends going on? Because when we talked a few weeks ago, I was excited to hear a lot of information from you that I feel like doesn't exist in the space. So like, okay, we had some aggregators, and then the pandemic, it was up, down, and we heard a lot of bad news from many aggregators recently. And so, what are the trends? What's going on? Right? Please share with us.
Yes. So, I mean, we all know that the peak of the M&A space was in 2021. It started in 2020. Thrasio became a unicorn, and then 40 aggregators came right after doing the same thing. We buy Amazon brands. And at some point, I think about $12 billion were invested in the different aggregators. A lot of it were the larger ones, and all that to buy FBA brands. And what happened with time is that many of these aggregators were having a hard time managing those brands. Some of the brands went down, whether it's because of the operation or whether it's because it's post-COVID and they bought it through COVID. So some of these businesses went down. Many of these aggregators were, had problems with their debt covenants, and they could not keep up. And some of them, simply do not exist anymore. So I just spoke with a seller who told me that he tried to sell his business by himself now, and he sent the material to all the 100 aggregators, and many of them, the website doesn't even exist anymore. So I think that out of 90 or 100 aggregators that were back then, today about 20, I would say, are actively buying Amazon business, maybe a little more, maybe 25. The rest are, many of them still exist, still operational, but not acquiring right now. So kind of focusing on what they already bought. And some of them are not part of the game anymore. This week we heard about Benitago that is out, Perch that is out. So a lot of these names you've heard them before, and everybody was talking about. Now it's kind of official recently, in the past month. But the truth is that all of this happened about a year and a half ago. So this is, about, I'd say at the beginning of 2022 is where things started to go wrong. And there were several difficult months. And what we saw is that towards the second half of 2022, things started stabilizing. Today, what we see now is not a bad market, not an excellent market, a regular market. So, for those who were here in
So you mean
2021,
the hype is down, so we get from the hype to the stable market.
exactly. So it's from the hype to the down to the kind of stable line for almost a year. We see the same market. So I know that there were several headlines recently, but this headline actually referred to something that happened a long time ago. So for the last year, we see a very stable market. So the multiples went down, of course, from 2021, and it very much depends on what you're buying or what you're selling. If you're a seller, if it's a very strong business, large enough, that is growing and has nice margins, this business is often not sold to an aggregator, but it's sold to other types of buyers, and the multiples can be still very, very strong. If you're a small FBA brand, while in 2021, you can even get 5x, 6x, for some of them even 7x. Today, for a small FBA brand, and when I say small, is like in the 1 million or even less, you usually don't get more than 3 times your annual profit. So it really depends where you are and what types of buyers you would be sold to.
Yeah, but it's always been at separate markets. The small brands, it's usually acquired by people looking for retirement, right? This is what I heard, or aggregators at some point, but bigger brands, this is a strategic acquisition, right? So some brand want to expand the portfolio or whatever.
Correct.
And yeah, so in general, what do you give an advice if someone considering, okay, we want to start thinking about doing an exit, and what is start to focus on, start to think some advice kind of?
Yeah. So like you said, the larger ones, we are talking about strategic buyers, and we are talking about private equity firms. A lot of these deals are go to private equity. For these acquisition, the advantage, like I said, is the kind of the deal structure isn't one. And when it's a strategic, they're often able to pay more because it's worth more for them. So for example, if I'm a toys company, a large retail toys company, and I want to get into e-com, and I already sell, I don't know, small bags for kids, and then I find an online one, and this is exactly what we planned. So I would be able to invest a lot in that particular business. But the downside, I guess, is the time that it takes. For these businesses are not aggregators. They don't do a 30 or 60-day due diligence or 60-day deals. Back in the days, this is what aggregators were promising. It takes more time, and it takes some preparation. So very often, if I have a client that says, we want to sell in a year from now, we would start the process now. And during that time, what we do is, first of all, we prepare you on the financial side. So what you want to do, whether through advisors or yourself, you want to start knowing your numbers and understand where you are compared to the benchmark. So you want to know that if your tacos is terrible, you want to know if your cost of goods is relatively high compared to the average. And you want to make sure that your margins are high enough, so that you would be able to sell the business. So what we usually do is give you an idea of where you are and what you could improve during that time. And sometimes you're actually able to, when you know what the problem is and you focus on that, you can often improve your margins dramatically. We had a business that improved from 18% to 26% margins just by understanding what the problem is, and by kind of pushing the seller to make that change that the seller already knew that he needs to change. So that's one thing. Look at the financials, understand where you are, and improve the business. And during that time, you also want to warm up the buyers. So a strategic buyer that knows that this business is coming to market soon, they can prepare themselves internally. They can start looking at the business, and when the time comes, be more prepared and push that acquisition.
It's like a dating process, right? It takes
Yes,
time.
yeah, absolutely. It's a dating. We have now a business in the beauty industry. One of the buyers approached us 7 times. When is, I counted, that's why I know, when is the business coming to market? Is it coming? Like, they want to make sure that they're not missing it because they're really waiting for it. So that's part of it, kind of warming them up, preparing, start discussions about valuations, and then down the road, when you're ready, when you got to the size that you wanted, then sell the business. So these are the two main things. And I think that the third one, which is also very, very, very important, that would be the legal preparation. So without putting too much of my legal hat here, when you want to sell the business, there are things you can do when it's just you alone with your 3-5 employees, versus selling the business to a corporation that would give you dozens of $1 million for this business. There are things you cannot do. So what we usually do is a kind of legal prep. We would tell you, listen, let's look at your business. For example, this insert, you cannot use this insert because it's not compliant. Let's start a process of removing it. This can take like a year. Or your trademark is covered for this category, but not for that. So change that. We even created a tool. You can use it on the website that tells you exactly what the problems are in your business, and what should be fixed. I think this is very important, because the last thing you want is to go through an entire exit process, and then at the end of the acquisition get a no because your trademark wasn't covered in the right category, right? So you invested so much in it, you don't want to lose your exit just because of that. So these are the 3 things that we really recommend doing. Some of it you can do yourself. But bottom line is the sooner you prepare, the better it is.
Okay, nice. So basically, you said number one, make your numbers clear. It's a foundation, of course. I totally agree. This is my partner college. We help our clients to be honest with themselves because
Yeah.
it's easy to live in your dream numbers, but when you see it on the paper, it's different story sometimes. And number two, it's start like talking to potential buyers and be on this dating process.
Yes.
And number three, all the legal can be sounds like not important when you are on your own, but when you get
Yeah.
explored, right? So it's getting
Yeah.
super. Okay,
When
yeah,
it
thanks.
comes to the buyers, by the way, warming up the buyers, I think that the challenge with the strategic with aggregators, everybody can get to aggregators. It's not easy to run a process with 25 aggregators, but if you are, and if you're not working much on your business, maybe you could. I think the challenge is really getting to the right strategic buyers, open the door to the right person, speak with with the right M&A person, and saying go for private equities. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of private equities, many of them in the United States, but all over the world. Many of them are focused on e-commerce, or at least part of their operation, and that's a huge opportunity these days for Amazon and e-commerce businesses in general. So that's something you really, at the end, your valuation. You know what your valuation is only if you tap the entire market. If you showed your business to three buyers, you may have missed one that would give you 10 million more. So you want to make sure you tap the entire market when you go to business, and I think this is one of the most professional side of that process, as opposed to approaching three aggregators.
Yeah, it's definitely the place that it's better you not do it yourself. You do it with an expert.
Yeah, I mean, and that's that. I think, I'm an attorney. When I sold my apartment, I used an attorney. I think everybody in their space, I think that Amazon sellers are used to do a lot of things alone, and they often save many costs when they do that. When you sell the business, those who are in the space know that if you have the right advisor, the commission that an advisor takes is usually covered, and you get way way more than what it costs. So if you do it alone, sometimes we've seen cases where the gap between what the seller got as a proposal and what we got was 11 million. That's the so I think that you want to make sure that you choose someone that will obviously add value, and of course cover way way more than they charge. But Amazon sellers, sometimes it's a challenge. It's like switching and understanding that this is a professional process, and not necessarily another product that they launch.
Yeah, yeah, and get into to this area like getting more professional, getting more like not solopreneurish anymore. What do you think in the general trend of the e-commerce of this? As we started like in 2016, it was like a gold rush, right? You
Yes.
just sell online, but it's now not really. And you see the money, right? They say follow the money. So if you know
Right.
where the money goes, you know what's the trends. So what do you think on the general e-commerce, Amazon specifically,
Yeah.
direct to consumer, all these trends, and
Yeah, I can tell you that beyond the consumer trend, I think the seller has changed. When we started Fortunet in 2018, there were buyers who came to, that was before the aggregators came, and buyers came to us and wanted to see businesses, and they were suggesting structures where the seller would stay in the business. So sell and then stay for a year or two, and then maybe continue to do something else. And when we suggest that to sellers, we knew what the answer would be, and we were right. The answer was, what? No, I'm not going to work for someone. If I sell it, I sell it. Otherwise, I'll continue. And today the environment has changed, and I think that a lot of it is because of the aggregators kind of bringing the kind of corporations to our space. And these days, I think at least half of the businesses that we sell, the owners are very flexible. They know that if they stay, they have higher chances to hit their goals and get the earnouts and future payments. They're also very interested in the acquirer space, and so very often they agree to they want to sell maybe only a portion of their business, maybe 60% or 80%, and then remain in the business and then sell the rest. So in that sense, I think that our industry has changed. It's not the solo entrepreneur anymore. Many of the larger businesses, those the 8 figures, usually have staff. They have a team for this and a team for that, and they evaluate. I mean, it has changed definitely since 2018, and we're seeing it changing every year. Still, you can't put an Amazon seller in a box that easily, but maybe not with a suit and a tie, but they're more flexible.
Nice. And do you think there is like more valuation to the brands that not only were successful on the Amazon as a platform, but also were more successful to build a kind of brand in social media by fans, by
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
audience, fans?
Yeah, I think that it's a good question. In the past, like when we started this journey, we were under the impression that if you come with a multi-channel brand, the valuations will be higher. Then we saw that actually most aggregators actually wanted an Amazon-only business, and the simpler you are, the more you had valuations, and then it kind of shifted. An Amazon only business is a little risky, and then they would want something else. I think if you ask me, I think that the answer is that that's not it. That's not the main thing. The main thing is how innovative your brand are, how innovating your products are, what is the barrier to create the exact same thing. And whether you're on Amazon or you're in Shopify or you're a combination of the two, that's not what really matters. What really matters is your growth, is your environment, whether you have you're protected. Where is this brand going, and what a buyer could do with this brand? That's what really drives the valuation. Of course, with the more you're diversified, the less risky you are, but you're also more complicated to operate. So it goes the two directions. I would definitely look at how unique your brand is.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting insight. And usually I bring one of the questions related to AI stuff. I don't know how you deep in all the modern hype. So do
Yeah.
you guys use some AIs for, I don't know, evaluation of potential growth of the brands or so?
No, we actually, we've collected, because we were involved in so many deals over the years. And for each deal, you get, many LOIs. So imagine the number of LOIs for like 150 transactions. So with time, we've collected data, and we use that data to evaluate what buyers want, what they don't want, what's worth more, what's not, and advise our clients accordingly, like I said, when we prepare to market. So we're definitely data oriented, not necessarily AI oriented, except when it comes to marketing and things like that. But not too much in the sales process. It's still a very much it's still a unique approach where you want to go to your very specific buyers that are interested in this very specific business. We don't go to widespread spray and pray and see what happens and use this. But maybe in the future, I assume we will.
Yeah, yeah, we'll be happy to hear some news as well. Okay,
Yes.
thank you much, Yael. It was really interesting conversation,
Thank
and I
you.
hope our listener will enjoy it. Yeah, see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me, Oleg.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.